Onegaishimasu. Welcome back to the Goju Ryu Karate Center. This morning we're going to do a video on Geki Sai Dai Ichi in a straight line. I'm going to do it a couple of different ways and ways that I've seen and picked up from other students and other instructors, and we're going to touch on why do we do it. Out there in the world of karate practitioners, I know that there is a large group of practitioners who go, what's the point? Doesn't resemble reality. Why do it? Why bother? And with that in mind, this exact same principle could be said about kata. Kata doesn't resemble reality, so why do we do it? And so if you fall into that group of people, you may struggle with the ideas that practicing a prearranged sequence with a partner is going to benefit you at some other point. Obviously, I think the most important thing to understand about the straight line kata is that, generally speaking, it is a basic idea, and it is to teach and to allow you to develop this interactive ability with a partner in terms of a certain degree of partner work, of cooperative training, and that you can gradually build a certain amount of resistance, etc. And at some point that you may take it, the sacrosanct thing that is part of gradings, etc., and actually turn it into something more practical, but more pragmatic. So you've got to have a starting point. All right, none of us learn to argue and to have perfect sentences for the purpose of debate, without learning our ABCs first. We first all had to learn the basic ABCs, and we had to learn words, then we had simple sentences, and gradually we developed the ability to put something together that became far more articulate and far more serious. And that's the exact same thing with karate. So this is part of that process. And I think if you lose sight of that, then, you're not in the martial arts for the long run. You're in it for the short run. Maybe you're trying to get a belt or a title or something, but then you're missing the point. So this is a tool to help you develop a whole bunch of ideas. Along the way, people have stopped developing ideas. That is problematic, okay? And testing oneself and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So without any more interruptions, let's run through the basic ideas of Geki Sai Dai Ichi in a straight line. The version we're going to start with is very simple. It's got one set of rules, and the rules can change depending on where you fit in. So this set of rules are all offensive techniques in the sense of block, punch, kick, strike, being defined as blocking techniques being defensive, and everything else where you're attacking being offensive. So all blocks are backwards, all attacks are forward. If we start, we move back, forward, back about 45 degrees, back, forward, back, 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 forward, forward, back, forward, forward, backwards, because we add in an extra block. Back to our center line. So for students who are learning, you work on this, and you've got the hard part is to make sure you do the first movement correctly. It's like the hardest move in the whole sequence, because what's going to happen is you're stepping back but blocking with the front hand. Okay, that's the hardest part. So getting used to the idea of step back with the right, block with the left. Then 45 degrees. Okay, and then the next hard part for a lot of people is the idea of sweeping forward, stomping and striking. So we've got this basic idea. Now, tethered to this is an attack sequence. Now, this is where variations occur for me. is how do we change the attack sequence and how does it get tweaked by different schools? Now, at the end of the day, the most important component is the kata. The attack sequence is just a way to facilitate the kata. All right, so the variations I will show are kind of variations that are done for the sake of making your partner work. So we start with a kamae, left leg back, left hand here. Some people kamae this way. I tend to kamae, Sanchin Dutch, chest block, okay? Groin is protected by thighs. So we start off. Jodan Zuki, Ageuke, Gedan Zuki. Jodan, Ageuke, Gedan. Chudan, Chudan, step back. Gedan, Chudan, Jodan. That's Chudan. And for the sake of variation, I'm going to do Gedan Barai. So, Gedan Barai. The other variations at this point, block across the body. Okay? Front foot. Up, back, block, koke. Or spin, block. Okay? They both facilitate the same thing. From here. Chudan. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, step through, 1, step through, 2, or pivot, and 1, 2, 3. Sometimes you finish 45 degrees, and sometimes you can finish facing each other, and sometimes what happens is you step past each other and change position. So these are all subtle variations, and they depend on which dojo you come from. This blocking for the punch, I tended as a young instructor to teach Gedan Barai because it was more focused on keon that everybody would understand. And I know that most Okinawan schools, especially IOGKF-based schools, block with the palm block. Then the koke block versus the spin block. This is something we picked up from an instructor who came to train with us, and her sensei taught it to her. So to anybody from Sensei Harry Pedagogski down in Cape Town, you will recognize this. This is from your sensei. And we have to give credit where it is due. I like it. My kids love to do the spin turn because they feel like, oh, it's so cool. This fresh air stuff is not as important as training with a partner. And the reason for this exercise being created is for the partner work. So, hey, Brian, now the question is, well, how much of it will we fit in? So we're going to adjust for camera every now and then. So I'll do a section and then we'll recenter and adjust. But generally speaking, it's just a continuous exercise up and down. Okay? We don't want to be out of shot too much. Hey, Brian, come a bit closer. All right. Hey. Very important. First bow, then both of you yoi. Brian is going to do the kata. So I will do the attack sequence. So I will kamae. Left, back. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that's the first sequence. And you can train this first sequence, first 6 moves, and then move on to the next section. Next section is going to be 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Brian, we can add the extra move in because we've got space. Does foot sweep. 1, 2. And there's the one block. Let's go back to change your legs. Gyakusuki. Brian does the foot sweep. Ride. Block. And block with koke. All right, so that would be your second sequence. that you could practice as a set piece. And then you could repeat that left and right side, so you'd be doing both sides. So, all right, Brian. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Different variation for you to see. Block with the get under eye and foot sweep. 1, 2. And so from there, my attacks are going to be at him. So we have 2 variations here. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the whole idea of partner work is facilitation of developing an understanding, a very basic understanding of what the kata means. Remember I said ABC, simple words. This is like learning simple words and very simple sentences. Luckily for me, at some point I went and I spent a short period of time at the Jundokan dojo. And in the Jundokan dojo, there are no backward movements. Okay, so you then have a different variation of Geki Sai Dai Ichi in a straight line. So their Geki Sai Dai Ichi in a straight line is forward, 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 oh, forward. Hold on, need to be in shot. Forward, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, forward, forward, forward. And so they do the kata like this. And this is a precursor to learning their straight line interaction or their more advanced Renzuko kumite, similar to something that was developed within the Jundokan originally and now is a standalone entity called Taira Bunkai. So you see this massive influence from Taira Sensei on some of the bunkai from the Jundokan. And if you ever get to train with Kinjo and Gima and Higa Sensei, you will see this influence that has come through. Now, I'm going to attribute that to Taira Sensei. But I know that in the Jundokan, there is a lot of collaboration amongst the seniors in development of ideas. So the reason I'm attributing it to Taira Sensei is that his name is attached to it as we would put it out in public domain. The moment you do anything that looks like that, everybody's going to go, Taira Bunkai. So we're going to keep it there. That is one set of ideas. And again, I heard criticisms over time from senior karate instructors more than once saying, Taira Bunkai is fantastic for training, but never ever lose sight that you cannot prearrange a fight that long in combative kind of situations, in self-defense, thinking of the street. And that's 100% right. But it does give you, in small segments, ideas and principles to work with. And that is important. So my ideas and principles to work with are kind of falling away from this idea of a straight line idea and starting to work on the idea of doing this in a smaller space and working towards principles attached to Randori. So, hi, Brian. Okay, so the idea now is to always move as much as possible to the outside line and to be in control from the outside line. However, if we have to, we'll go on the inside. Okay, outside line being a little bit safer. All right, so Brian, and this is totally unscripted and unrehearsed. Brian's brain is going, I did this like 3 years ago. Hey, Brian. Okay, so Brian, maybe I should do the kata. And maybe you should do the attack sequence. So the attack sequence is virtually the same, but like we do Randori drills, you're just going to change direction to wherever I'm at the previous movement. Okay? So, again, we start with the yoi. Brian is going to left back and kamae. And so on his first attack, here we go. 1, I move to the outside. Brian adjusts as I attack, and he tries to move to the outside. Brian is going to attack again. 3, get out, and I move to the outside. And Jordan, I move to the outside. Brian to the outside, and get out. I move to the outside. Chudan, Chudan. Here we go, Brian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've got to do the foot sweep, Brian. 1, 2. My back is exposed. Brian attacks. 1. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3. And if you like me, grab and pull and take down. So, okay, I hope we got that on the camera. We're going to play with it over here a little bit because it looked like it went that way a little bit. We'll redo it, and hopefully it is a little bit more centered for Sensei Zoe, who has to make magic with the chaos of what we film in the morning. Hey, Brian. Okay, got it? All right, let's try it again. Yukamai. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The poor mic. Since Zoe is going to kill me, I'm abusing the poor microphone. Please excuse me. Okay, so there's a different variation of Geki Sai Dai Ichi in a straight line. Well, it's no longer in a straight line. It's like a child scribbling. It's a whole bunch of circular, weird things moving this way and that way, exactly like a child scribbling. Now, this isn't conducive for neat, structured classes that when somebody comes in and if they had to take a photo, picture perfect. But it is starting to work on the ideas for Randori, and starting to work on the ideas that you're trying to outmaneuver, outflank your opponent a little bit, and that you're trying to get something in line with Randori. And this is maybe a stepping stone towards developing, using Geki Sai Dai Ichi in your Randori. The next thing, it shouldn't just stop at the point where we're doing a block, a punch, a block, but it's got to become something a little bit more radical. So we're going to change our straight line kata or our scribbly kata now one more time, and it's going to look a little different, okay? And so here we go. Okay, Brian, so we're going to slow it down even more, okay? Here we go. You're going to kamae, you're going to do the attack. And ichi, ni, san, chi, go, ruk. Okay. Ichi, ni, san, chi, go, ruk, edge, foot sweep. Oh, I have to foot sweep. 1, 2. All right, knee, san. All right, wait. Good that you reacted. All right, 1 and 2, 3, and 4. All right, so the idea of taking some of your bunkai that you've developed on 8 ideas for a block, and fitting that into this sequence and see how it develops. So you're developing this idea that for every attack, I'm deflecting softly and adding in this little blow, and slowly chipping away at their structural integrity, maybe. If you like what we've done, leave a comment. reflect a little bit on what you've maybe done in your own dojo. It's always super useful. I often say to everybody, the content I produce is like, let's call it 20% of the value in what we have. The other 80% is in the commentary that comes from all of the commentators who give something of sizable value. Those of you who comment, once again, thank you very much. You help make this channel what it is. And then all the likes and subscriptions. Oh yeah, and we hit 1.5 million views in the last week. So we're super grateful to everybody who's watching our channel, who's sharing our channel, instructors who are using our channel to facilitate ideas within their own dojo. This was the ultimate goal of what we were doing. I hope that everybody is training hard and is improving. Hey, Brian, come, let's take a bow. Arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Don't forget, like, subscribe, leave a comment. And I believe some of you like to put the bell on the notifications that we've dropped something on the YouTube world. Cheers. Have an awesome one.